at Truck World. Hey, today we're going to do a little video here and explain wheel offset. What is it? How do I understand it? And my very simple way of breaking it down. So first, let's talk about positive offset. Positive offset is how far into the body the wheel, or the outside face of that wheel, sits in from the fender of the truck. So kind of the better way of explaining it, like a skateboard, the wheels sit underneath the outside of the skateboard. So that kind of is a really easy way of breaking it down. And then go into negative offset, which is how far out of the body the wheel, outside face of the wheel, sits from the fender of the truck. Now, it's very confusing when you're talking about this because there's so many different names for it. One of the most common ones I've seen here is how much wheel poke do I get? That is referring to offset. So this here is a negative offset on this particular setup. This picture explains a little bit better what a positive offset looks like, or a zero-ish offset, where the face of the wheel or the outside of the wheel and tire combo sit in from the fender of the truck. And this one is going to be more like a zero offset, where that wheel face sits about dead flush with the outside of the truck, but the tire extruding from the outside of the wheel goes a little further out, gives you a little bit of poke. And then you have negative offset, which is the outside of the wheel sits outside of the body of the truck. Now, when talking about offset, you have to realize they're talking in millimeters. So a plus 12 offset to a zero offset is 12 millimeters of difference. Then you've got, the most common in the aftermarket world that we do here at Truck World is a 20 by 10 wheel with a negative 18 to a negative 25 offset, which is about what you're going to see in the picture here. That's somewhere roughly around that range. Now, I don't know the exact spec on this particular picture or what that wheel is, but that's going to be, give or take, what a negative offset looks like. So some examples of this. Oh, here's another picture of kind of showing you. So a positive offset is going to be here, which I don't agree with that. I don't see how that's a positive offset. But anyways, regardless, you can see how much of the wheel is sticking out. Then you've got a zero offset where you can see how much more of that tread is sticking out from the body. And then a negative offset, how much more there. So to kind of give you an idea. Here's an example of a truck we just recently built. This has got a set of 24 by 12 American Force wheels with a negative 44 offset. So that's going to stick those wheels pretty far outside of the body, maybe up to about 2 inches outside of that fender. Now, I don't have a straight on picture of it, but they stick out pretty far there. Another example of this is this Ram that has as well a negative 44 offset with a 12 wide wheel. So those wheels do stick out pretty significantly from the outside of the body here. This one is kind of a mid example where this is a 22 by 10 with a negative 18 offset on this hostile wheel with the Chevy truck. So if you looked at it straight on, you'd see it's about halfway in between that negative 44 on that Ford or that Ram and a zero offset or being dead flush. So you're still getting about, an inch to an inch and a quarter of wheel poke out of that. And then to give you an idea of a zero or a positive offset would be taking a look at the Chevy Colorado. It's got some aftermarket AEV wheels, but those wheels sit dead flush with, the tire sits dead flush with the body. So you have zero poke. You don't have anything going outside of that body, which is going to lend itself better for different types of things, off-roading, not flinging mud everywhere, or rather, it's still going to fling mud, but it's not going to go down the side of your truck near like it would with those other trucks. So kind of gives you a brief explanation of what offset is. I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to go into the whiteboards and all that I've seen on other videos that explain exactly what backspacing and offset, this and that is. Just know that the higher the negative number, the further your wheel is going to stick out from the body of the truck, and the tire is going to stick out further from the body of the truck. So that gives you a brief explanation of positive and negative offset. 90% of what we do here is going to give you a little bit of that wheel poke being a negative offset wheel. So I hope that helps explain a few things, and you can help explain that to other people that you're working with.